Right then. Welcome to the live Tuesday night. A couple of things I'll talk about shortly. Welcome. I'm Jacqui Lewis, pretty unrecognisable. 2 reasons I've got things on today. Welcome to Tuesday Night Live. I'm the clinical nutritionist for BN Multi. And every Tuesday night we meet on the page, on the BN Multi page, and we talk about all things bariatric. So during the week, there are opportunities in the group, the BN Bariatric group, to ask your questions, and then we collate them all together at the end of the week, and we answer them. Well, I answer them, and if I have a guest on, they also help me answer them as well. So being from Brisbane, I've got my groovy mask on. What a week. It's kind of, we've lost track of the days and we've been extremely busy and catching up on a whole lot of things as well. So I thought that was a bit funny to start with, but I'm going to take it off now. The second thing I've got are our groovy giveaway for the week. New product we've got in, which are sunglasses to get you out and about exercising with a connection to your phone. Also, you can answer your phone calls, and got lots of settings at the top here. I don't know if you can see those, but they're just a bit of fun and something to help to keep you motivated and, you know, keep us trying new things and looking groovy while we do it, I must add. So these ones will sync with your phone. They've just got a 1 speaker little connection here, and you just pop it in your ear so you can play your music, wear your sunglasses, protect your eyes, and get out and about. So they'll be one of our giveaways this week. Bit of fun. And so we are into the second week of the year, 12 days into the year. And in Brisbane, we had things turned on its head this weekend. So we're on to Tuesday now. We're allowed to do a whole lot of different things. The only place you have to wear a mask is inside. So running on the treadmill at the gym wasn't much fun today. I figured I could do that outside without a mask. And that's all I have. Got the questions here. If you've got anything that you want me to address while we're going along, I can't see it right now, but pop some comments in the feed underneath the video on the BN Multi page, and I'll see them there. Last week, we started the first challenge for the year. We've got a monthly challenge. Each month this year, we'll present you with a health challenge. And we have a range of people who've jumped on board, which is fantastic. And this month, we're talking about excluding sugar as much as possible from our everyday, but looking at where it sneaks in, and also just how it makes you feel when you take it out. And so just after Christmas and New Year's, always a good time to explore that. And it'll probably be the most noticeable time because it's often the time when we've had the most of it. So I have compiled a couple of the comments, and this week's newsletter, which goes out on Wednesday, will also have some information about sugar, and also kind of it threads through everything we do in the different platforms will be directed towards the challenge. We also talked about creating some groups this year to pull you together, people who want to gel with others in the same situation, and run through the challenges and then support each other outside of that as well. So we have all of your details, and we're still compiling what it's going to look like, and someone will be in touch with those who've reached out soon. If it's something that you'd like to do, we're putting together small kind of mentoring groups, support groups, and they're just a bunch of members who are on the same journey from all over Australia and New Zealand. Generally, I don't think we've got anyone from further than that at the moment, who are looking at, you know, educating and supporting one another and putting their best foot forward. So also, again, in the comments below, if you think that's something that would suit you and you'd be interested in being a part of, please let us know and we'll be in touch with just working out how to manage these. They'll be likely to be groups of 10, so BN 10s, groups of 10. So stay tuned. I think it's a really nice way of meeting people on the same journey, as well as learning and sharing your own knowledge and your own experiences, because everybody's at different parts of the journey as well. So, for example, one of our members has had her surgery 11 years ago, and some people are just starting out. So those people who've been through lots of different things, or have had sort of more time to get their head around how things go, can also share lots of shortcuts. And that's a really nice thing to bring in, is supporting others who are on the same page. Oh, and I think my Zoom just died. Hang on. Something went wrong. No, I had a swirling hourglass on the front of my screen for a moment there. So I'll head straight into the questions. Some of them are about sugar, and some are, most of them are about sugar. So we've obviously hit a popular topic. So Fiona is asking about sugar makes even tea taste good, and I have to agree. I've greatly reduced it, but how do I drop it entirely? It's a good question, and it's working out whether you eliminate it from tea and coffee or from food. So I opt for things that I just, so for instance, I'm with you. I like 1 teaspoon of sugar in my tea, but I have 1 a day. So I figure that's 1 teaspoon of sugar that I'm willing to part with for good reason. Whereas I definitely wouldn't drink a can of soft drink, because I think that's just a waste of sugar opportunity. So over the day, the guidelines for sugar intake are about, or added sugar, are 9 teaspoons, the Australian recommendations. It may be even lower with the weight loss surgery patient. It's hard to get to 0. And then you look at, what are you replacing sugar with? So for a period of time, agave syrup was really popular as a sugar replacement, but in fact, its effects from a biochemical perspective were kind of a bit more catastrophic in a lot of ways than eating sugar is, because sugar gets an opportunity to be used as energy, and then it's stored in the liver if it's not, and then it's stored as fat, whereas agave syrup goes straight to the liver. So the message that the liver gets is, I've got too much glycogen on board. I'm full of sugar. So start making fat with anything else that comes in. So you do have to watch what your goal is. I'm also not a fan of taking out sugar and just adding artificial sweetener. Sometimes my opinion is, I look at what kind of sugar am I adding. So in my tea, I might have coconut sugar, which has got some minerals in it and a couple of other nice things to have. All the unrefined as you possibly can, if you're going to add sugar to anything. The coffee sugars and the demerara and that sort of stuff, they're still in that kind of, they're a big molecule, and they're not as refined as white table sugar. And I think that's one of the things I definitely try to steer clear of. If I go to a hotel and I'm having a cup of tea and they've got white sugar, I don't use it. I don't like it. And I just think it's better off that I don't put it in my tea. So I'll either not have the cup of tea. These are the choices that I'm kind of putting forward as an example. There's things you can do as a workaround, or my personal rule is, if I can't have good sugar in my tea, I'm not having it. So it's working out what works for you, and what you're going to do when these situations come up. So I'll either, when I go away, I take my own tea and I take my own coconut sugar, and I have 1 teaspoon in there. If they're in a small hotel cup, I'll have half a teaspoon. So I guess my roundabout answer is, dropping it entirely. Is that your end goal? Or limiting your added sugar and what type of sugar you're adding. If you're having 6 cups of tea a day and you have a teaspoon in each one, I would look at cutting back on tea and replacing it with something else that makes your heart sing as much as tea does. So maybe having 2 cups of your tea with your sugar in it and replacing the others with 2 cups of water with lemon juice in it, or green tea with no sweetener, or ginger and lemon tea, or something like that. So it's breaking it up into not eliminating the part that you really like, because I don't think we should have to part with absolutely everything we like, because there needs to be some enjoyment, but also looking at how good for you is 6 cups of tea with 6 teaspoons of sugar. So it is how many you're having. If you just have tea in the morning and you add a teaspoon of sugar, explore what you think about drinking it without sugar, and play around with it. It's something that I never drank tea without milk. And then now I've actually gotten the hang of it. I'll have a black tea from time to time, and it's actually not a horrible experience. So it's also introducing things that, or exploring what's on offer as well, trying different things. At the moment, if I hadn't tried green tea with a slice of lemon in it, or I hadn't tried ginger tea, or I haven't experienced chamomile tea, and I've just been drinking my normal English breakfast tea and insisting on having 1 sugar in that, until I've opened up my repertoire of tea drinking experiences, I might think that white sugar with tea and milk is the only way to go. But then if I'm exploring and experimenting, I might find something else that I go, oh, maybe that's not the best tea in the world. Maybe I will have green tea. And if I could say to you that there is something from a easy nutritional standpoint that would change your health exponentially, it's green tea. And there's research on it. There's a whole lot of benefits. And even if you swapped out a couple of cups of tea, therapeutically, 3 cups of green tea a day is a game changer. It'll change your levels of anxiety. It has theanine in it. It has a whole lot of great plant, my thing's falling down, great plant nutrients, antioxidants, those sorts of things. And it's been shown to change even your way your brainwave activity works. It increases alpha wave activity. So it's a long story, but try other teas and see what you think about that. Maybe put a little bit of honey in there. Raw honey is beautiful, or manuka honey, which also has some benefit. So you can still add a bit of sweetness, but you couple it with, manuka honey's got really good healing properties in it. It's got antibacterial. It's really good for your gut. So instead of putting 1 teaspoon of white sugar in your cup of tea, you might say, I can't do this without sweetening it. So what am I going to do it with that would bring about the most benefit? Or am I just, going to add the brown 1 teaspoon of sugar, or am I going to try and eliminate it? So it's playing around is my answer, I suppose. Nina is asking, how much is too much sugar for us now with tiny tummies? That varies. And the reason it does is with the bypass, you have more risk of what they call dumping syndrome. And that's almost like a shock response in a lot of ways. It's that sweating, either vomiting, diarrhea, that sort of stuff, like an overdoing of the nervous system. And the reason it happens is that some undigested foods and carbohydrates will go straight through the stomach and into the small intestine, and it's too much. So it varies from person to person. Some people can eat whatever they want and they don't get dumping syndrome. Others will get it from a piece of fruit, or it does vary. What I will say is the recommended daily intake of sugar or added sugar is 9 teaspoons, and you'll get many more teaspoons than that in a can of Coke. So it's looking at what you want to add sugar to if you need to, and what type of sugar it is. But the 9 teaspoons is a guideline, and I'd need to investigate and see if they have made a different recommendation for a bariatric patient as well. Really, the diet that is prescribed after bariatric surgery is a very low calorie diet. So they're looking at reducing added sugars. eating a higher protein based diet and looking at low glycemic index. And I think that's a really important thing, is the main key to regulating blood sugars firstly, but also weight loss, is trying to eat foods that don't give your blood sugars a massive spike after each meal. And we talked about that in previous weeks. Low glycemic index foods, foods that are around about sort of 50, 55 in the glycemic index range. And you just Google it online, you'll find a chart that will give you different understanding of foods that have a low GI or high GI. So high GI is things like bread, pasta, potatoes, refined, pastries and sweets and that sort of stuff. And some fruits are higher in GI than others. So things like mango will have a higher glycemic index than an apple. So if you're looking at keeping your glycemic index quite low, you'd even opt for an apple over a mango. So it's looking at how far you want to go with that. But that's also the key to reversing type 2 diabetes, is keeping down that blood glucose level after every meal and eating foods that speak to keeping that on an even keel. It'll help to make you more insulin sensitive rather than insulin resistant. And that's the key as well. So I don't have an exact answer for how much is too much, because someone on here would tell you that half a teaspoon is too much and it gives them dumping syndrome, and the others will say I can eat chocolate. So it's different for everybody, but there's a recommended range, of course, if you're looking at managing. And I was going to say, it's not in this question, but it's a bit off topic, that there's more and more research to show that sugar is the thing that's driving, high cholesterol and inflammation and the obesity epidemic that we have. And it's kind of an offshoot of this recommendation from research that was done 40 or 50 years ago, showing that high cholesterol was being caused by animal fats in the diet. So then there was this massive big thing about, oh my God, let's get all the animal fats out of our diet. And they started making low fat food. So we all got on I think if anyone, and probably a lot of you did grow up in the 80s, it's probably 80s, there was a whole low fat thing. And to turn that thinking around, because we've been so conditioned to eating low fat, it also means that sugar sneaks in, because the fat in our food is what gives us that satisfying taste, texture, satisfaction after a meal. And when they remove that, often to make things taste good, they'll add sugar. So look at yogurt, the range of, God, how many yogurts do we need in the supermarket? The choices we have on offer, and the no fat, low fat, half a gram of fat, whatever, how much sugar are in those? And this is where we're talking about looking at your added sugars. Cup of tea, maybe you could afford one of those, but if you're going to eat 3 tubs of yogurt that has 9 teaspoons of sugar, also there's your problem. So do your own research on whether you subscribe to the low fat calorie counting way of managing your food, or look at whether you're looking at macros, like how much protein you're eating and how many carbohydrates and how much fat, and how is your glycemic index, because the article in the news this week will explain all of that too, because we look at one breakfast that's 300 calories, that's high protein, low GI, and there's another breakfast that's, Nutri-Grain or Cocoa Pops, and it's still 300 calories, but what is it doing to your body at the end of the day? So don't miss this week's news. Now, Donna is asking, can you kill the sugar cravings? My goodness, wouldn't that be good? I can't stop snacking on chocolate. I know the easy answer is just don't buy it, but I can't resist. 9 out of 10 times it makes me literally sick, but even that doesn't stop me. And I think I've got a problem. And don't look at it as a problem. It's a signal that something's up. And looking at that, when it's even like people who will ongoingly drink too much to the point where they're sick the next day and then just keep going back, and they know what it's going to do or they think that they'll just have one and they won't keep drinking until they're sick. So we look at what's driving that. And yes, everyone would say just don't buy chocolate and don't have it in the house. And that's very nice. And it's something to strive for. But if you find that you keep doing it, if your intention is to not do it, and then you end up battling with yourself, I imagine there's a whole lot of self-talk that's going on in the meantime of don't buy the chocolate, don't buy the chocolate, don't buy the chocolate, don't buy the chocolate. And what else are you missing in that whole time? And then just buy the chocolate, eat the chocolate, and then you're not feeling very good. So there's a reason that's driving that. And I can't tell you what it is, but and it's not that I know, and I'm not telling you what it is. It's something to think about and to be quite open and honest when these things are going on, is what is it that this thing's giving me that is obviously there's some kind of payoff, and is it that it stops you from being the person you want to be because you don't know what you would do when you got there, or is it that there's an underlying belief that you don't deserve to be feeling well, or losing the weight that you want to, or whatever. And it's not a question that will just, the answer will come when you ask it. It may be something that someone could support you on to kind of have a look at what's going on there. And I posted a little thing in the group again today about how our brains actually work, and how just having willpower is nice and having intention is great, but often there's something else that trips us up along the way, and it's just getting that, all those ducks in a row. So I would suggest if we can support anyone who's, this is a great question because it's certainly not unusual, even for people who are just trying to maintain weight without surgery. It's something that people, obviously we have, lots of different vices, and chocolate is a big one, and it's sugar, but it's also looking at, what is its role? Was it used as, looking back even as a child, was it used as a reward? Was it used as a validation? How was food used in the home, and what are your messages around food? Looking at those kind of things, and then looking at, at the end of the day, it's not making sense to eat something that's making you feel sick, but there's something going on that helps you to do that again. So I would suggest there's a few different, particularly Glenn McIntosh, they deal with weight loss. They deal with weight management psychology, and they have practice in Brisbane, but they are also online. So if you like, you can send us an email, and we can certainly point you in the right direction if you like. And courage, you're very courageous, to pop that question there, because I think that would be something that it's prevalent, and some people just don't know what to do with it. So good on you. For acknowledgement is the first key of looking at, whether it's just a new habit you need to form, or it's something deeper than that. So good work for you, Donna. What have we got? Kathy has not had sugar for 6 weeks, and I used to use buckets of it. I bet everybody wants to talk to you, Kath, about how you manage that. So good on you. And a lot of people, their taste will actually change after the surgery. The podcast I did with Amanda Clark talks about that, how your enzymatic activity changes, even in your saliva, which creates a different taste sensation. And for some people, it makes things that are sweet really, really powerful and unpleasant. And for others, it's not as affected. So good work for reducing sugar, particularly I think 6 weeks ago would encompass the Christmas period. So I think that's amazing. Thank you. And here is just a one more question, and I did answer this in the group, but I think again it's something that people will experience. Lisa was saying she had surgery on the 5th of January, so about a week and a half ago. I hope you're going well. I must say the hardest thing I've ever been through, but it's starting to get easier. So that's a good sign. it's a whole lot of things in the first couple of weeks. It's a very emotional, and it's a big time. And has anyone got any ideas about getting rid of the horrible taste I have in my mouth and it's making me sick? And I did mention that it could be ketosis. And whilst that's a good thing because that means you're burning fat, it doesn't help when it's tasting yucky in your mouth. And it's almost like your breath will have an ammonia kind of smell to it, like an acetone nail polish remover, and it feels kind of dry and it feels stinky and pungent. And I think a few people wrote in the group some suggestions like peppermint tea and just making sure you're drinking a lot of water, which will also help with the process. But it's a bittersweet thing when you know that the taste is coming from it's basically that your body is using fat for energy, and that it's the fat stores that are being used. And it's called ketosis. It's a ketogenic state. And it probably lasts for, I don't know, it's individual, but it's for that kind of immediate rapid loss stage. So I can just suggest those things that were posted in the group: drinking water, and, maybe those, not the sugar-free mints, because that can really upset your stomach and make you really gassy. It's got a lot of xylitol in it, which is also a replacement for sugar. That's a sugar alcohol. It's not going to get you drunk, but it's like almost an extract of sugar, and it certainly does. Anything that has xylitol on it comes with a warning that it may cause diarrhea and flatulence. And I think I have, from time to time, I'll buy those little packets of Werther's sugar-free, a little toffee lolly, and they're so yummy, but I only have one because otherwise I can hear my stomach just rumbling all day long. So that's that. So where am I with my questions list? And that is the last question for this week. We have a winner or two winners this week of the Transformation Tuesday. Also, I meant to remind you before I go on to winners, because I know I've got your attention now. Could you have a look at being one of our BN Inspirers? We're sending out a quiz, basically, that helps you to tell your story. And what we're doing is compiling as many people's stories as we can, before and after photos, if you want to share them, and just your recount of what led you to surgery. The questions are there, so it's not like you have to dream it all up, and it's your story, so you certainly don't have to dream it all up. But we're creating and collating them all together. And we have a lot of people who come to our site who are not sure what to do, and they're still unsure of what this surgery is all about, and will it work for them, and will it change their lives in any way? And kind of everyone ends up there for a different reason. So the more inspiring stories we have about, how it was hard, this is what I did, have a look what I can do now, would also, share that opportunity to change people's lives as well. And kind of that's what we're looking at doing. So I think it's on the website. There's a link to you can download the form and you just fill it out, and it goes through to us. BN Inspired Stories on the top page of our website, and you can click and there's a link that will open up the form, and you just fill it out and send it off to us. They don't appear on the site immediately. We're collating them all together to make a collage and, create something that's a valid place to go for good information and support. So I will just have a look and see if there's any more questions. I can't see questions. Oh, 11 comments. Here we go. Loading. They would be good for park run, Sue, our new sunglasses. All it is comments about my groovy glasses and my mask. Isn't that funny? Love them. Great. Thanks. Thank you, Jacqui. That's lovely. And no bias because I like your name too. And so the winners, without further ado, this week we have Herrera Teza, who, let me see if I can share this. Oh, there, look. Share. Oh, come on. Share my screen. Here we go. This one. I've just become a technological wizard. No. Can you see that? I think you can probably see that. This is Herrera Teza. Look at the transformation there, and totally changed her shape as well as her composition. And this is what we're talking about as far as keeping your metabolic rate ripping through calories, is putting on as much muscle as you possibly can. But that's an incredible change. And is there a story? No story that goes with it. So well done, Herrera. You've won a pair of we should call them 5K Your Way glasses, parkrun glasses. So you too could look as cool as I do. Plug in your little earphone here and rock out your whatever exercise you're doing. I'm sure everybody would like to know about that. Good work. Excellent. And second winner, Elizabeth Brown, and did a total transformation. It's quite interesting how the photos are taken. You look like a smaller version of yourself all over. Well done. There's usually a story that goes with those, but we haven't got them. And we're giving away the glasses. 2 pairs of glasses. Good work, guys. Keep the stories coming. There's lots of Transformation Tuesday. Stop share. Hang on. Can't get my mouse on it. There we go. Oh, dude. And I didn't see any questions. I saw comments and compliments about my beautiful glasses and my mask, but that's all I saw. So thank you for joining us. Please keep your questions coming, and have a look at this week's news as far as the sugar challenge goes, and also post your progress and let me know how you're going. I'll admit it's not easy after having a bit of flexibility over the Christmas period. The minute I include maybe even 1 glass of wine in my weekly thing, I want more sugar. So that's a key as well, is looking at what are your triggers. I know if I've had a glass of wine, the next day I'm looking for goodness. It's an appetite stimulant, but it also dysregulates your blood sugars, and it has a high glycemic index. So there's the answer to that. And as much as it's good on the way in, it's and it seems to not matter. 1 glass will do it, or 2 glasses will pretty much have the same effect. Makes me feel hungry, tired, demotivated, and I'm glad to see the end of it for this season. But yeah, having a look at what is your trigger for wanting sugar. I've also find that when you increase your exercise, you'll feel hungry. So I'm aware of that, and I just make sure I have good things on hand, like nuts. And if I want something sweet, I'll have prunes or something that's got a bit more of a concentrated punch of sweetness. Dates are good. I always have a couple of dates or half a banana before I go to the gym, and that provides the energy to get you through your workout. But it also stops you falling into that ravenous, hungry monster when you get home. So balancing things out. And this week's podcast actually talks about that. I'm talking with Nick Ray, who has been a bariatric dietitian for, I won't say a million years, more than 20 odd years. And he deals with athletes, bari athletes, he calls them, people who've had bariatric surgery who take on high level exercise. And we talk about how to fuel and fit in enough energy to meet your needs when you do become a really active body. So that's coming out this week, and the you'll get the link in the group, and I'm sure you've all subscribed. Did you know 9,000 people have listened to the podcasts? I was pretty happy to hear that. And I hope you're one of them. So I'm going to love you and leave you, and we will discuss sugar this coming week again for the 4 weeks of January. And then we'll move you on to the next challenge. So you'll hear more about the groups that we're going to put together. If you're interested in being a part of those groups, please either put your comment here, and we'll collate it from there. Is probably the easiest. I was going to send you all over the place. And that's all. I'm going to head off and not eat any sugar. Have a wonderful week. Bye.